Hello and welcome to the Greek for the week. My podcast this week was in Luke 3, and so I picked a verse with interesting grammar, not necessarily interesting theology, although I suppose it is, but I picked this verse because it has some interesting Greek stuff. Okay, so pros dokuntos de tu lau kai dialogizamenon Ponton. Okay, that's a mouthful. Long words. Greek sometimes has long words. I've noticed this, especially when I visited Greek on my honeymoon, Greece on my honeymoon a number of years ago. But I seem to remember that the word for is it ashtray, stenoctadohio? That might be newspaper. I can't remember, but it's a long word. Stenoctadohio. Leophorio is bus. I mean, in English, bus just has 3 letters. That's nice. Anyway, I digress. So prostacuntas tos de tu lau. Well, de is a post positive. That means it's a procrastinator. It's always late to the party. So we're going to translate it first. And de can mean either and or but. Just kind of decide from the context. Sometimes it's translated even now. But okay, fine. Take that out. And so we have here. Well, tu lau is genitive masculine singular from laos, meaning people. So genitive masculine, we have a genitive, we have a noun and the genitive. And Ken pondered this in his heart. And then we go to prosdokuntos. So my aunt is an active participle. The unt in there tells me that this is an active participle. This is from prostokeo. It's a contract verb. The epsilon of prostokeo has crashed into the omicron of aunt. And so, well, is that right? We've had a crash for sure. An epsilon has crashed into, okay, that's not doing what it's supposed to do. It should be prostokuntos. So let me ponder this for just a second. Got it. The mystery is solved. The verb is not prostokeo, but prostokao, also a contract verb. And so what's crashed here is a alpha and an omicron. And in that situation, omicrons win out of almost everything and are crowned long omicrons. A omicron crowned is an omega. And so that's an omega. And then we have a police line here, circumflex, saying, there's been a crash here, step back, nothing to see here, go home, folks. So anyway, this is a present active participle. And our konantas, anti-anta, it is a genitive singular. Okay, okay. So I have a genitive noun and I have a genitive participle. It's a genitive absolute, yes. And so we're going to make the noun the subject and the participle the verb. So, and while the people were waiting, something like that. We can't quite translate it. We could say, and the people waiting, that would be fine, but that's not going to make the RSV translation. So we with the participle doesn't have the article. We can use while or after. There are lots of things we can use, but we can start there. So we could say while you were waiting, while the people were waiting, and okay, dialogizomenon ponton. So ponton is a genitive plural. Menon is a genitive plural. Once again, brain blast. We've got a adjective in the genitive and a participle in the genitive. This is a participle. Men are passive participles. Although I think this is dialogizomai. Oh my, it's deponent, which means it looks middle or passive, but we translate it actively. So we have here, and this is dialogizomai. It's a present deponent participle, genitive masculine plural from dialogizomai. Okay, so the pronoun or noun becomes the subject, the participle becomes the verb. So we have something like this: and the people waiting, and everybody debating in themselves. This is not talking out loud. This is pondering inside. So I mean, they could have been talking to each other, but anyway, the dialogizomai is more like, what's going on here? So we have, and the people waiting, and everybody deliberating. They were deliberating entis cardii sauton, in the hearts of them, peri tu Ioannou, concerning John. Okay, so the people waiting and everybody deliberating in their hearts, in the hearts of them, concerning John, mepote. Lest is not a good English translation here. whether, actually, if we're going to create the new Shank version of the NSV, we would not go with lest, we would go with whether. They were debating in the hearts of them whether autos ea ho Christos, whether he or he himself might be the Christ. Okay, so AA is not Alcoholics Anonymous. This is a unusual form. It's regular, but it's not, I don't see these every day. This is an optative. I don't see the optative very often in the New Testament. But Luke is an educated author, a very sophisticated author. And so Luke uses the optative. Like in the Gospel of Mark, and there may be, but is there a single optative in the Gospel of Mark? You can tell me in the comments. There may be, very, very well be. But if I were to say, okay, which book of the New Testament doesn't have an optative in it? I'm not sure whether Mark would, because Mark is very basic Greek. Greek is a second language. Anyway, so Luke is sophisticated. We've seen several optatives, and we're only in chapter 3. So whether he himself would be the Christ. By the way, yeah, this is Luke's narrative framing. So this is a third person singular, oes a, but it's third singular. It is, I think, present optative from ami, which is the verb to be in Greek. You don't actually need the autos because third person singular means he, she, or it anyway. So if it's here for a little oomph, whether he would be the Christ. John the Baptist, come on down. Or in this case, no, he's not the Christ. But anyway, whether he himself would be ho Christos, the Christ. Christ is Greek for anointed one. In Hebrew, Mashiach is anointed one. So Messiah is the Aramaic of anointed one, and then Christos is the Greek of anointed one. Well, this has been Luke 3:15. Some interesting grammar. We've had a couple genitive absolutes and an optative. We'll see you next week on the Greek of the Week.